here you are with a scenario, all right? There's a town A and town B. Now, these two towns have no water, all right? They lack water, they need water. And then you have two people, two friends, James and Peter. And James and Peter have a unique thing about them. They think big. They want the big things out of life. I mean, they want to travel. They want to have their own homes, have exotic cars, you know, give to the less privileged, go on vacations. I mean, this is the life that they want, the La Buena Vida lifestyle, living a good life. They want it, right? But then, in reality, this is their dream. This is what they want. But you see, whenever we want something big, life will bring us in fact, somebody says life, but I believe that it's God that orchestrates life to act on our behalf when we must have prayed. So in the midst of all their big dreams, there's something happening. In the reality, people need water in town A and town B, right? So they began to think as entrepreneurs, why don't we look for where to fetch water to these villages and make money? So they discovered a well that has water very far from the two towns, extremely far. So they said, you know what? We can actually begin to fetch water. And if we fetch, we'll distribute to these villagers. Per bucket that we fetch for them, they give us 1,000 naira. 1,000 naira, all right? For one bucket, they give us 1,000 naira. So James and Peter agreed. And beautiful business. You know, that's how we start solving problems. When you have value, if you put value in the marketplace, you make money. It's as simple as that. Value is solution to problems, that's value. Value can be packaged. This water that they're delivering is value. So they, distribute it to the villagers because the villagers need water. They must pay for it. All right. So you don't pick money from anywhere. Anyways, now James and Peter begins to carry the bucket. So they carry one bucket every trip, and they make 1,000 naira. So and they do 50 buckets per week. So in a week, they carry 50 buckets in 1 week. So that means they make 50,000 naira per week because one bucket is 1,000 naira. Now that means in a month, they make 200,000 naira every month, right? Beautiful business. I mean, 200,000 naira every month for one, bucket of water, and then 50 buckets in a week. Now here's a good thing. While they were doing this, Peter begins to think building to last. And Peter said, let's build a system and earn profit for life. That's built to last, because they're doing the work, the hard work. Because we're going to get older at some time. When can we, if we have a system, if we have a system, when we build that system, we can actually stop what we're doing and money continues to come. Do you know what James said? James said something like this. It will take time to build the system. I don't have the time. Do you want us to make more money? 200,000 naira we're making every month is good. But then if you want us to make more money, tell me, Peter, that you want us to make more money. Don't be talking about this system thing. It takes time, and I don't have that time. So something happened, guys. Peter began to draw the plan to build a system around what they were doing. But James instead did something different. Now, James is likened to someone that runs a traditional business where you are in the E quadrant or the S quadrant. Now, the E quadrant is the employee quadrant. The S quadrant is the self-employed quadrant. What is peculiar about these people is they think, whatever I have to get done, I have to get done by myself. They're always thinking me. How can I get this done? How I'm going to do this? So the self-employed are the professionals, the specialists. The employee simply means you work for someone else. And this is where you have active income. Is that okay? Now, that is what James is thinking. That is what his father, that was what his father did, his mother, his uncles, that's what they're doing. So he's thinking in that line and he just wants to make money. So let's take a deeper look into James' subsequent life progression, basically. So James in town A, making 200,000 every month, but then he said, I need to make more. So what does he do? He begins to carry more buckets. Instead of carrying one bucket, he carries two buckets, meaning that he's delivering two buckets, per week. Instead of making 200,000 every month, he's now making 400,000 every month because he's supplying 100 buckets of water per week instead of 50. So now he's making 400,000 per month. Bigger money? Yes, but bigger work. Now, he ran this for a couple of months and then months and then months, and then 2 years later, 400,000 every month is kind of cool. So what does James do? James buy a couple of plots of land somewhere in Abuja. 400,000 every month, that's cool money for a single person. And then he kind of hangs out because he's making a little bit more money right now. He hangs out with friends every weekend. Sometimes within the week he hangs out because he makes 400,000 every month. And he's not married yet. But then because he's making that money, people are beginning to whisper to him, guy, why don't you go get married? He said, hold on, let me get a good apartment. He rents an apartment, and the next thing he gets, a small Toyota car to move him around. Not super expensive, but then, Tokumbo, very neat Tokumbo. And the next thing we hear is tam, tam, tanam, tam, tam, tana. See this lady in the brown top, yes, James married her. Such is life and romance. Because whenever there's money, there's always the ladies that look at you if you're a guy, if you're a lady, if you have money. There's also a level of stability you have. But anyways, James got married and everything was sweet. And the next thing we found out was, poop, the first baby came out. Poop, the second baby came out. Poop, the third baby came out, but then something happened. Life happened. So 10 years later, right? Now, guys, all these things are happening in time. Everything is working together for good for James at the moment, but there always comes a time when life happens. It happens to every human being on earth. Life must happen. The only people that life don't happen to are dead people. So James is still alive, so life happens to him. Now, for some people, it might happen sooner. For some people, it will happen later, but it does happen, all right? For instance, life just happened to Barrister Eddie this morning. Just lost a mom. He didn't prepare for it. He didn't think about it. It just happened. Boom. That's a big blow for him. All right. That's what we're talking about. Life just happened to him. So for James, life happened. What happened? He went to the doctor and they diagnosed him of serious health issues because of the trips, the distance he's been carrying these buckets of water on a daily basis. He developed a serious health issue and he had to stop carrying the buckets. And in fact, for him to undergo a medical overhaul of his health, he has to pay 600,000 naira. That was his bill. Now, as if that's not enough, when life happens, I don't know why it happens like this. It's as if everything is happening almost at the same time. I don't know if you've noticed this. Anyways, just about the same time, his rent is due. That's 2.5 million. Remember, he has 3 kids. So he's living in a very lovely 4-bedroom apartment, all right, with boys' quarters. But now his rent is due. Just about the time he went to the doctor, and the doctor said, hey, you have to slow down with your work to get your health back together, but you still have to pay 600,000 naira for your medical bills. Rent is 2.5 million, just about at the same time, because it's not his own house. And the next thing is just about the time he's getting home, and they say your car couldn't move again. And then you call your mechanic, and your mechanic says the engine don't knock, and you have to pay 300,000 naira to get a new engine. Aha. And while the mechanic is talking that you have to change your engine organ and even the plugs are bad, he gets a call from home and the wife is telling him that the principal of your children came to the house just to announce that the school fees have been increased to 750,000 naira for all of the kids. Your kids are not yet in private schools, but then they're in good schools, and there are 3 of them. So total, everything is 750,000 naira. Just about the same time everything is happening. So to James has a total burden of 4.1 million to clear. And he's still stuck with his 400K per month income, which has stopped because the doctor said if you continue, you're going to break down. So he has stopped, literally. So money's not coming in again. And he has 4.15 million naira to pay. So that's James' life till this moment, all right? It's very, very bad. But then let's take a look at what's happening to Peter, all right, quickly. So let's drive to that town B. You see, Peter, let's go back to, when they made that decision. This was James 10 years later, but let's go back to Peter. What was his own trajectory before life happened to Peter? So Peter was thinking about what? Building to last, right? Somebody go to the comment section and say building to last. Come on now, type it, build to last, sorry, build to last, build to last. Type in the comment section, build to last. Somebody's saying, ball, I'd be like bicycle. All right, build to last, fantastic, good. I saw that you are on the same page. Now stay with me, guys. This is what Peter did. Peter began to think about, how do I build a system around what we're doing? So he said, this well of water is very far from these towns. And this trip I'm moving, one day I'll be tired, I'll be older, I can't do that work again, just like it happens to some mechanics. So although mechanics are in self-employed quadrant, or some lawyers, what if you're sick? That means money stops coming in. Even as an employee, what if they sack you? Money stops coming in. If you're sick, money stops coming in. They stop paying your salary if you don't report to work at a particular time. So why don't I build a system? So what he thought was, I don't have the capacity to draw water from this well to this town. So let me partner with a big company. So he partners with a big company that has the money, all right, and tells them, hey, come to this area and put up a tank, all right, and build a pipeline. I will mobilize the town people to buy this water from you. And normally they buy for 1,000 naira per bucket, all right? But I'll be releasing 100 naira to you. But I'm going to mobilize. Now, he needs to mobilize. The town people are there. So he does that deal with these partners. And the partner said, no problem, I'm going to build a pipeline, drawing water from here to the tank. But then you have to fetch from the tank because the tank is closer to the town, and then deliver to them. Peter says, no problem. He's still going to deliver to these people, but he doesn't need to walk as far as where the well is. So, but what does he do? As a creative person, he now says, instead of carrying the buckets from this huge tank to the villagers, because there's no way to attach a pipe to the town B because the ground is rocky. So you can't bust through a pipe. So what does Peter do? He's being creative. He goes to recruit 1,000 people. He recruits 1,000 people who will be carrying buckets from the tank to the people, and the people will still be paying the same 1,000 naira per bucket. But all Peter is asking is, give me 200 naira from your 1,000 naira. I will give 100 naira to my partners, and I'll take 100 naira. You guys enjoy 800 naira. Wow. Now, these guys don't have access to the partners. They'll be excited. So every day, these 1,000 people reimburse 100 naira each to Peter. Let's forget about the 100 naira. That one goes to the company. But then Peter is now making how much? Peter is making a whopping sum of 100 naira times 1,000. That is 100,000 naira every day. because these people carry the buckets every day. They supply and they make 1,000 naira and they reimburse 100 naira to Peter. That's all he is asking for because Peter gave them the enabling environment. Beautiful, what? 100,000 every day. But how much were they making before then? James and Peter, they were making only 200,000 in a month. Now, are you understanding a little bit the power of leverage, guys? You see, when you leverage, you make more money than the hardest worker on earth when you leverage. When they were working themselves, they were making 200,000 every month, not every week, every month. But because this guy was creative and he leveraged on other people's efforts and time, he's now making 100,000 every day without doing any work. All he does is supervise. Come on, guys. Let's think about it for a second. Now, 100,000 every day, beautiful money, the kind of money that will make the devil envy you, right? But then life happens to Peter because Peter is making 2.8 million every month. But when life happens, Peter is subjected to, the hospital bed. Life basically happened. But while he was in the hospital bed, just like almost it happened to James, but his own illness was a bit different. I think it was coronavirus that happened to Peter. One of his trips to supervise. So one of those boys, I think they had coronavirus. So it wasn't out of the fact that he was working hard, that he's ill. I think it's coronavirus, yes, because his temperature got up. So he had to be quarantined. So on his quarantine bed, ladies and gentlemen, he's still making 100,000 every day. Even when life happened to him, he's still making 100,000 because these workers, these partners, these 1,000 people are hardcore. Their immune system is super high. They don't care about coronavirus. They are still carrying the buckets. They are still 100%. Maybe because Peter stopped working really hard, his immune system kind of dropped. And then he caught coronavirus. But these guys don't have coronavirus and they keep working. And Peter keeps making 100,000 naira every day. So let's tie it down. Let's go back to town A, all right? Now, we go back to town A. James is depressed because he's not making money. He can't work. He can't deliver water to town A guys. And town A guys still need water. So what happens? After 14 days quarantine, Peter is all, boom, he's back up in by himself. And he decides to pay James a visit. And then he comes to see James. James, hey, how you doing? And James is not really feeling really good. And he says, how much is your hospital bill? He says 600,000 naira. Peter gives James 600,000 naira to at least take care of your health, young man. But the doctor says to James, even though we treat you, you need to abstain from work, this kind of work you do, carrying buckets, look for another thing to do. So James is out of work. But what does Peter do? Peter comes to town A, realizes there's a need. What does he do? He brings his partners to town A, puts up another tank, puts a pipeline there, and recruits another 1,000 people. And the same thing begins to happen in town A, and Peter begins to make 100,000 naira every day from town A. Remember that he's also making 100,000 every day, still making that from town B. So guys, here's the deal. This is called leverage passive income. If you want to build to last, you're thinking of leverage passive income if you want to build to last and have a good life. Now, this is the kind of money that I said it that makes the devil envy you. Because the truth of the matter is, in town A and from town B, what this guy is making is 5.6 million without work. So at this point, he can now begin to deal in other things, stocks, bonds, forex, gold, cryptocurrency, if he wants to do that, real estate, gives to charity. There's money everywhere. He looks for town C and does the same thing, looks for town D. And at that time, you're saying that, oh, this guy has multiple streams of income, but he started with one stream. Aha, that's what I'm going to. You can't build to last if you diverge your energy. You build to last by starting with one, building a system, the first system, then expand to another place, then expand and expand and expand, and boom. And everybody thinks that you're doing multiple, because at the time he's dealing in gold, he's dealing in Forex, he's doing cryptocurrency. If cryptocurrency falls down or closes up, he doesn't feel it because he's making 5.6 million already through a system. If the stock market goes crash, boom, he doesn't feel it. He's making 5.6 million residual already. Now, if the stock market goes up, he makes more money, right? If the cryptocurrency goes up, he makes more money. If the real estate deals go up, he makes more money. So everybody's saying that this guy is blessed. Yes, including you, you're blessed. But the only thing is that he uses blessing to his advantage by being creative and resourceful to think about system. So what you see here, bringing the 5.6 million, is called a system. So let's dissect it quickly. If you want to build to last, you must build a system. So let's dissect what is a system. Now, a system, excuse me, is what leads you to passive income, where you don't have to work and the money continues to come. But what is a system? Factors to consider to build a system. Some of us know this, some of us don't. Now, to build a system, you have to have partners, you have to have value, you have to have leverage. You have to partner, you can't do it alone. Some people might want to attempt to do it alone, but it takes time. You make a lot of mistakes, you don't have the funds, you don't have the capital, so partner. Now, you must have value. There has got to be value that the market desires. So in this scenario, water. Then you have to have a lot of people working for you or working with you so that you can leverage from their time, and all this total together gives you a system. Now, let's bring it home. In what we do we have such? Yes, we do. We have access to a system. We already have a partner and part consumerism. Well-trusted is a global business structure, making sure that our business continues for life globally. So the partner is there. Do we have the value? Oh, yes. In fact, we don't even have to manufacture the value. We don't even have to go and fetch the water. The value is created for us by our partners. Products that powerful products that people need. Powerful value in products that people need on a daily basis. Not sometimes, just like that water. People need these products every day. You see, the reason why Peter continues to make money on a daily basis is because those villages need that item, that value, water, every day. If they needed that item once in 2 months, maybe like electronics, maybe like TV, all right? They buy the latest TV, they don't buy again until another 2-3 years. Peter wouldn't be financially free by now. It has to be the value you push out in the marketplace has got to be a reusable, daily repeat use items of value. Remember that. We have that already. Then the last thing is leverage. And that is what you don't have. So do you know what happened to Peter? When Peter and James were carrying buckets, did he have access to people? No, they were doing it alone. Just like most of you, you are making money alone as I speak to you now. A number of you, I mean, for new people and some old people. The reason you're struggling in life is because you're doing it alone. You can't make much. You can't even amount to much. So what did Peter do? Let's learn from Peter. Peter became resourceful and creative, and he recruited 1,000 people. So the people won't appear from nowhere. You need to recruit. You need to connect. You need to sponsor. I love this part, guys, because that brings power to us. But hey, let's dissect these people. Let's dissect, okay? Because this is the only factor that is within our purview. Our partner, but you don't need to go and look for the partner. We already have them. The value is already there. So the only work we need to do is to connect people in what we do, right? So let's